Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Todd here. I'm up north at the cabin and we're working on a project this weekend to improve our fire pit area. Just kind of something that's been here for decades, and we've been doing a lot of work out in the woods, and so we've been cutting firewood, and now we've realized that we really need to get a place where we can stack this, season it, sort it, so that we have the stuff that can be used this year for the fire pit, and season stuff out for next season, you know. So we're going to be working on that project this weekend. Laura's come up and she's going to give me a hand with that. Here's a stack of firewood, and here's the fire pit ring. You can see the cabins over here. So what we want to do is build a covered firewood rack, get some stuff in under cover. That way, if you have a day where you got partial rain and clears out, you can still have a fire at night. So that's kind of the game plan here. One of my thoughts as I look at this, I'll kind of walk around behind it, is that this is certainly going in a different angle than the cabin. So the question becomes, if you're going to build a covered firewood rack, would you want that to be paralleled up with the cabin and running, instead of running diagonally like that, run more, you know, back in this direction? So we're going to do some measuring here against the cabin and bring it out here and make some decisions on where we're going to put it. And then it's going to be a matter of loading all this firewood up and moving it back out of the way so that we can get in here and prep the site. So at this point, what I'm doing is taking a tape measure. I'm going to run it from each side of the front of the foundation, or the back of the foundation of the cabin. We'll run it over here from the front, run it back down here, and establish a parallel line so that we know what we're working off of. Once we've got a parallel line, we'll draw that out and we'll be able to measure that against this. But you know, you can certainly tell that that's kind of on an angle like that versus, you know, being parallel. Yes, it's true. I'm a bit anal, or a lot anal. So, you know, I like to have things just right. So, you know, if we're going to build something here and it's going to be permanent and it's going to be here for years to come, let's take a time and get it right. So we're going to go ahead and do some measurements to figure out what squared up to the building is, and we'll be back in a few. Okay, we got our measurements. Use a can of spray paint to create a line. So I'll walk over here to this end and show you. Actually, you probably could see better from the other end. There's the firewood, and there's our line, and you can see kind of how far off we are from being plumb to the building. So now we'll move all that firewood out of the way and see what we need to do to prep our site. Say hi to Laura in the background there. So we've clearly moved that stack of firewood. We've got our line that squares it with the cabin. Here's the site. We've just kind of cleaned it all out, raked it up, removed a few little saplings, established kind of a front line parallel to the line back there. That'll be the front edge of the rack. I'm going to now take the tractor back to one of our sand mines. It's all sand underneath this ground, so it doesn't take too many buckets down to get to beach sand. So I've opened up a couple of sand mines on the property, so if we need sand, we just go get a bucket or two. So I'm going to go get a couple buckets of sand and lay it in there so we can kind of level the bottom of our firewood rack up, and then we'll be back. So we got the site prepped. I brought some sand in, both for where we're going to put the firewood rack, and then we're just going to have some outdoor storage. We'll throw those landscape timbers down there and stack green wood on that, let that season out behind the firewood, the covered firewood rack. So we've relocated from where it originally was. You can see the original stack was going in that direction, and this one is clearly not. So we got it as squared with the house as we could. So we're going to knock it off for the night and come back at it again tomorrow. So it's Saturday, and beautiful day out here in northern Michigan. A little bit breezy, which is great. Got Laura's over there. Started our first mowing of the year with that Massey Ferguson with the 60-inch belly mount mower on it. So she'll be occupied for a couple of hours, given the fact she's got to mow a mile's worth of trails, 2 passes, 1 down and back. So that'll keep her busy for a while. So back to the project at hand. I got my lumber unloaded, got my sawbuck over there unloaded that I built at home, and then today we're going to go ahead and sink the posts. So what I'm doing is building it like a post frame building. I'll put 3 posts across the back and 1 on the corner of each front, and then we'll just build it like a mini pole building. So I'm going to get started and start hand digging 5 holes. Okay, I'll bring you along on a little bit of a progress report here. So I've got the 2 backside holes dug, going down 38 inches on those. Even though it's sand, it's not going to kill us. So what I've done is gone ahead and got those down, did each corner, brought a 2x4 back, an 8-footer, because that's how far I want it to be. So that's the way my back wall is going to look. I just clamped them together, put my 6-foot level on that cross brace just to make sure that's running level. Then I went ahead and plumbed each corner, or each outside post, so that those are running plumb, so that I know that's not racked. And I'm going to go ahead and just little by little, I'll fill the first one in to make sure that that's completely plumb, and then I'll work the second one off of that, get that completely filled in, packed down, and stable. Then I'll remove the brace, or with the brace on, I'll go ahead and mark my spot for my center post, and then I'll go ahead and remove the brace, put the post in. Then I'll go ahead and once that post is in, I'll put the brace back on, or that horizontal piece back across, and true all 3 of those up, and backfill the center post, and my back wall will be done, and then I'll work forward from there. So that's the game plan, and I'll be back in a little bit with some progress. So I've got the 3rd post in. I went ahead and got them all backfilled, and I installed one of the nailers, so that's permanently there. So that's all squared up, plumbed up. Then I came up forward here and measured crossways and out, and I've made my 2 marks to dig my front 2 holes, and that's about what I'm about to embark on. So I'll get those holes dug and we'll be back. We have the 2 front posts in, and we've just clamped a board in place so that we have our 8-foot. It creates a square. So we've got the frame all squared up, we're going to go ahead and install the back carrier and the front carrier for the roof system, and we're going to get those all screwed in. I'll come back and hit them with my nail gun to beef them up a little bit, but we'll put screws in it for now just to pin it together. So I'm back with an update. Obviously we've done a lot to it here. Pretty much got it all framed in, and everything seems to be, you know, pretty square. We're just going to cut the metal roofing, put that on there, and then for the exterior I'm gonna either do rough sawn lumber or get slab cutoffs so that they would look vertical logs like the cabin, and just kind of, you know, that's just go to a sawmill and get those cutoffs. That's pretty cheap stuff, but it'd be a good tie-in. It'll look good. And we're just using some old repurposed metal roofing, so we'll get that cut, thrown on there, and we'll be back. So you can see we've got the structure built. I'm gonna go get a load of sand from our sand pit and level that out. Then I'll move those landscape timbers in there, and then all of that firewood has to come back in here. Got the sawbuck that I made. Then I'll get another bucket. I need one more bucket of sand back here. And then what I'll be doing is taking these other two landscape timbers, moving back about 6 feet, as you can see, maybe 8 feet, so that the runoff from that doesn't hit it. And then I'll put those landscape timbers down, and then all the fresh firewood that we cut that needs to be seasoned can be stacked behind the covered firewood rack and moved into the firewood rack when it's got enough season on it, it's dried out enough. So all in all, not a bad little project. Took a long time today, but I was doing stuff in between, so I didn't just work on this today. I had a few other things I had to get taken care of. So yeah, I'll give you an update when I get the firewood in there. Not a bad way to end the day. Burning off some of the trash wood that we had. Got it, most of the good stuff that we have stacked here. I've got a bunch of 6 and 8 foot cherry logs cut that are out in the woods that I need to bring in and split. There's some fresh cherry that we did this year, so and that stuff dries out pretty quick. Honestly, some of that is probably be able to be burned by the end of the season here, if we get into deer season or whatever. So yeah, nice project, cleans the area up. Happy with it. Good way to end the day.